What's up guys, Titan Isaiah here, and I've got some huge news. Cross-platform play for SMITE is coming to PlayStation 4. Starting with the Odyssey Underworld update, PS4 players will be able to play with and against players from across all SMITE platforms. At launch, cross-progression and cross-monetization will not be supported. We're still working with our friends over at Sony on this, and we'll be sure to provide more updates in the future. This is a huge milestone for SMITE, and we can't wait to welcome PS4 players into our cross-play family. For more information, head over to highresstudios.com/crossplay. We'll see you on the battleground.
Welcome back to the SMITE Minor League. We just wrapped things up in EU with a pretty big set. If you missed that one, well then mark the VOD. You're going to want to go back and watch those. Before you do, though, I want to make sure that I let y'all know to open up the SMITE client and start checking out the Odyssey, man. There's some cool stuff in there. In particular, the Chilling Death Odin skin, 33% off right now. So you're going to absolutely want to make sure that you're in there so you can get the big rewards towards the end. But to get back to talking a little bit about the actual Minor League, I'm joined here by Anatoly Alexeyanok right to my left. And Toly, we're over into NA now.
We really are. Those were some really epic EU sets in the previous one, but now we're going to cross the waters.
That's right. Right before we actually hop into the boat and cross over, let's take a look at those updated EU standings. Up at the top, still Simplicity, Flashpoint there right beneath them, but out cold after grabbing that win are hot on their heels.
They really, really are, and they need to because Flashpoint struggling a little bit. Simplicity did not look clean whatsoever this week or the last week.
Yeah, agreed. So I think it is still very much up in the air which teams will be coming out of Europe. You're going to want to keep a close eye on that. Here in the SMITE Minor League in North America, on the other hand, though, these are our standings. Hype Unit up near the top at 5-1. Surprisingly, above even Armada, despite how strong they looked, and Sanguine, the two representatives we saw last time.
And our new team, Risky Behavior, have reset in the score standings, replacing the Grim Deaths.
That's a great point. They did not take on the record that the Grim Deaths had. They're just going to be starting essentially from zero with their own record moving forward. So great for pointing that one out here, Toly. But we're about to watch Team Cryptik play here in this very next matchup that we're going to be moving into. So I still expect this one to be a pretty big match.
It definitely has to be. A lot of fireworks. I'm looking specifically out of the jungle position. JinguBang up against Kyrmi in that role. If you don't get off to an early start, the other's going to punish you, especially when you're looking at the two soul laners. Dishonored up against Copebby.
Yeah, that could potentially be another one of those big matchups here. I mean, we saw it over in Europe, right? There's a ton of new stuff kind of coming into the meta. We just saw the Izanami getting played a little bit more. The Amaterasu had some value. Outcore were able to find a win with those picks. We'll have a chance here in North America to see if some of those same picks are being mirrored.
Surprisingly, no Oleron today.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Oleron's still good. Here, wait, can I do a real quick check? Toly, does Oleron still have Sanctified Field?
Yes.
Then I still want him. There you go. It's really good ability that I would want on my team. Yeah, that was easy enough.
I agree.
Exilium will be the first one here in the picks and bans. Team Cryptik on the other side. And look at that, Toly, right away. We just had to get over to North America to see an Oleron ban.
That's what it is. They don't really like that kind of area of effect, I guess.
Sure, yeah. Well, it is a gigantic area, yeah. Maybe it's not quite the style over there in Europe. Set also being valued here by Team Cryptik. That's no big surprise. Isis are the ones you're going to expect to be getting banned out. Thor as well. Some Khepri sometimes too.
Some Thoth, some Musenkopf from time to time. Europe definitely doesn't prefer the AMC compared to North America, but today in this matchup, wouldn't be surprised to see the AMC locked in.
I think they made the right assessment, which is that there are other hunters with strong push power. You don't have to have the Musenkopf. It can be a bit more vulnerable sometimes, so especially with some of his changes, moving away from it's not too surprising. But this Geb ban, I mean, we've seen Gebs get banned some, but I don't always think he's that high up on the priority list.
If it's not the Geb, sometimes it's the Khepri as well, and these defensive supports are a big thorn on people's sides to stop them, like with the Geb shield, with the Scarab's Blessing as well. If you're going to go for an aggressive lineup, especially one that's all in, it's actually worthwhile to take away those supports.
Thor gets picked up, was not banned this time, so Exilium happy to grab it. Amaterasu, even here in North America, has clearly risen in value. I'm excited now for Thursday and Friday to see if the SPL agrees that this pick is worth banning out in that first phase, because so far the minor league has been almost universal in their belief that you got to ban this away.
It's a feels change from this perspective. Now, the two did get a little bit of early damage, but I think the more important factor is how the silencing dash feels. It no longer roots you in place, so you can still kind of maneuver around targets while you're using the dash. dash.
Yeah, there was that small moment when you were channeling the dash where you stopped and then you shot. Now you have a little bit of extra maneuverability. I mean, I think it did a lot for Hou Yi. He got the same kind of treatment on his Sunbreaker. Remember, that feels can actually translate to quite a bit on the field. But talk some about these drafts. Horus and Zhong here for Team Cryptik. That gives them some strong, beefy presence already. And then you add in the Fafnir and Exilium here or Fafnir and King Arthur for Exilium. They've got a beefy squad too.
They really do. And the Zhong is flexible in many different positions. It could go solo, long lane, mid lane. Chernobog as well can flex between middle and that long lane. Hard to predict where TCK are going to go with this draft, but Exilium on the King Arthur, very aggressive soul laner. There might need to be some sort of cripples to deal with it, but with Zhong and Chernobog locked in, I kind of want to see either an Ares locked in for jungle or an Ardio locked in for solo lane.
Yeah, we talked about how Izanami had some good matchups in the King Arthur, but I think it's too late for that one with a Zhong and a Chernobog. Maybe you can push the Zhong over to solo and still pick it up, and maybe that silence can help you out a bit against the King Arthur as JinguBang banned out here on the side of Cryptik and Batz banned away by Exilium. They don't want to have to deal with the Fear No Evil.
Especially when they already have the Recall Demons coming through from the Zhong. That's a lot of AoE damage.
Yes.
If you have any sort of control on top of it, now you're really asking for a bad time, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe a Dodge gets banned away as well, or something else that provides AoE CCs.
Well, they banned two very controlling junglers away. Exilium did here with that secondary ban phase. I think that's the right call. Horus has great setup and single target CC. You don't want to let a lot of extra CC kind of sneak its way in. As Hercules comes in for Cryptik, I wonder if this is solo lane Herc. We haven't seen him much.
Could also be support,
it could be.
But Horus being locked in. We haven't seen Horus in a non-support role, I think, in any league.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, maybe some people were considering solo towards the beginning, but that guy feels almost all support from what we've seen here lately. As Scylla comes through a lot of different stuff. Now, one thing they did do with their first 3 picks was they drafted all the setup you could want. Scylla's not going to have trouble landing abilities this game.
I agree. The Thor with the Scylla as well. One can set up the other, honestly. The Thor can set up Scylla, or Scylla can set up the Thor with those roots.
That's right. We always talk about I'm a Monster and Crush, but Sickle might be the real star of the show once that gets upgraded all 5 points in it. An AoE root? Yeah, sign me up for that one. As Robin comes in for the jungle role, I imagine. Or maybe it's Robin solo, Herc jungle. There's a lot of options here.
Yeah, I don't know where this lineup is going, but I like the pick of Robin against a high bursty mage god.
Yes.
Like the Mystic Rush to damage mitigate, the overhead kick as well. You can bait out the Scylla's Crush or the Sikkim, immune those abilities, and then look for round 2.
That's right. Remember, when you're in that I'm a Monster, you actually cast it. There is a moment where you're kind of self-rooting for that damage. That could be all the time a Robin needs to dunk in and take care of the Scylla. Exilium and Cryptik, let's get into the action.
2 teams going head-to-head. And boy, is that going to happen. John Finch and Anatoly Alexeyev on the desk for this one. Tom Battinger and Ryan Agro Bailey.
Hey.
You can find us at F.Ryan Agro up there. And NA Cameraman, the best in the whole damn business. Bringing you the action here. Doug, of course, behind the moniker. So Cryptik versus Exilium. I'm just going to give you the floor here, Agro. What comes to mind with this matchup?
2 mediocre teams. That's really what it's been.
Middle of the pack?
Middle of the pack. So this is your opportunity to separate yourself from what has been the clear, definitive difference between the top end and the bottom end of the North American SML. As these 2 supports really just fighting for the sake of fighting right now. So this strat is all about, I'm going to deny the enemy jungler farm because their farm is more important than mine. When you're just denying each other farm, it doesn't do a whole lot of good. Now, that does a whole lot of good. Bayroneri too far forward in the mid lane and taken down with ease by Sibyl and crew.
Double tap going to do some damage, but not nearly enough. And with that pressure, that's the key to unlocking the door to the red buff. And Cryptik will walk in. Take it away and walk away.
It's too bad that there is no caster cam so they could see the hand motion that came with that whole spiel right there. That was good work by you.
Yeah, I did the action of the key into the door, and then I opened the door. Mid lane, Osath trying to do no such thing. Sibyl providing some good damage. Diesel, of course, the one to grab that first blood. There is a 3-on-2 that said Cryptik unaware that Kyrmi was kind of sneaking around the corner.
I mean, these two teams, like I said, have not been very impressive so far, but I think the team that is certainly favored here has got to be Team Cryptik. I mean, they've had moments where they've looked really good. Exilium, frankly, has not. Still trying to find their way at this level of competition.
If anything's going to help them, though, the DayToRemeber edition certainly will. That came just a few weeks ago. So you can certainly impact this team from the carry role.
Has a lot of experience at this level of play. Once upon a time thought of as an SPL level talent. The game has certainly evolved since then. Day is, took a break. The game will not break for you. It won't stop. These players won't stop improving. So Day certainly has some catching up to do, I think, to even this level of play, but has proven that he can rise to that task in the past. It's just a matter of, can he reach this new level of what is required of these ADCs and carries that we're seeing today.
We've seen other players take a step away from the game and come back. I think most notably is Eonic of SPL fame, previously a world contender, and now stepping in, playing support for one of the low-end SPL teams, my opinion. Very rough to begin with, and I think that's the same to be said about DayToRemeber. But once you're in the machine, you kind of get it going. I'm not going to use the like riding a bike analogy, but it's similar that once you're getting in gear, you can kind of roll with the punches. DayToRemeber playing very traditional to his old school style. A number of teams have moved the mage over to the long lane and put players into the mid lane. DayToRemeber still playing it like it's 2 years ago. And I don't think this is inherently bad. I don't think that playing Hunter in the long lane, Mage in the mid lane loses you the game. However, suboptimal is a conversation. I think it really is team to team and matchup to matchup dependent.
I agree with that. I mean, it's not an instant loss by any means, but MandoWarrior and the Zhong is going to have a much stronger mid game than the Cernunnos. Now, once they're all level 20, it doesn't matter what lane they were in. It's just a matter of those mid-game power spikes are so much stronger for these mages that can really fight very well with a lead, as opposed to the hunters that their curve comes up so late that it just doesn't compare to that mid-game where mages and teams often decide the game by a big, 14-minute gold fury or a 20-minute team fight.
Mid lane, pressure coming out is Bayro. Going to be brought down to about 10% or even less. Nice damage again coming out for the folks on Team Cryptik. Diesel probably the culprit there. He did a lot of damage in the first segment to gain him and his team first blood. So Diesel on the Chernobog, certainly a big portion of it. You can see that first blood bounty coming in there in the clutch. He's just barely above his carry. Carry, of course, will have the most on the map usually.
And unfortunately for Exilium, Bayroneri is all the way at the bottom of the net worth charts in comparison to Diesel, who is at the top. Now, it's not a massive disparity. It's 600 gold, and the entire gold lead for Team Cryptik is about 200. So it stands to reason that if you can take a fight without Diesel there or take Diesel out of a fight, then you are on even footing almost immediately.
DayToRemeber trying to battle about the purple buff, but it won't really happen here. And so Day will lock himself back in. Movement speed boots being bought here by Sibyl, and I like this choice based on the way we've seen these supports play already. Starting in the jungle, doing some weird stuff, forever rotating. Sibyl hasn't been in the dual lane whatsoever. If you're going to be moving around, if you're going to be rotating the map, that's where Talaria boots are going to come in the clutch. Boots are another point of SMITE where I think there's a lot of different options. Very rarely is there a right and a wrong right now, which makes the game difficult to understand, but really fun at this high level and this almost top level. The Pro League airs every Thursday and Friday. That's really where you get to see the best of the best of the best, sir. And all these ambiguities and all these kind of niche items really flex there. Sibyl here was able to make use of it on the Horus, a character whose movement speed is important. If he's able to kind of rotate throughout the team fight, dashing to teammates, dashing to opponents, setting them up, slowing them down, there's a lot there for Sibyl as well.
Osath might find himself in some trouble here. CC chain not quite ready. Sibyl may have used that gust to clear the wave, and as such didn't have it to continue that onto Osath. But Osath had upgraded shell, ultimate available, leap available. Would have been pretty difficult, I think, to guarantee that kill anyways.
Early upgraded shell. Early stage to kind of grab that one. Dishonored in some trouble. The rotation from JinguBang, and Diesel's here as well. Sibyl intercepts the ultimate, and Dishonored, level 8, will heal a ton thanks to the Glad Shield. And I really didn't like their rotation from Diesel.
I mean, a big overcommit. JinguBang and Diesel both use buttons as Dishonored ends up hitting the Excalibur's Wrath, takes himself out of combat, and saves his own life, but then Cope misses the driving strike on the come down. I mean, just too many missed abilities from Cryptik in order to get that kill. I don't think the rotation is bad. They could have killed Dishonored, but they needed to be much better about their sequencing of abilities than what ended up being the case.
King Arthur's a character that thrives on these multi-man kind of ganks. I wouldn't have minded just to see the 3 versus 1 try. The 4th, that's got to confirm the kill. Otherwise, you know, you rotate over here and you wind up kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage. Bayro able to stay in lane, able to get some farm and kind of even things up, comparatively speaking. Side lane, a little back and forth here. No expectations for Cope or Dishonored. Neither of them are going to kill themselves. Kill each other, rather.
It's the classic solo lane matchup of smacking each other a whole bunch, and Dishonored totally fine. Cope, if he finds another full combo with the boulder, could probably kill him, but now Dishonored will play it nice and slow. Make sure that is not the case.
Meanwhile, Dishonored has tank boots online. It's a very tanky King Arthur for sure. An extra 21 prots after all said and done. Cope, though, not a dot character, so Dishonored will have to build those up the old-fashioned way.
Really there because of the Zhong for MandoWarrior. That character, basically all dots. That's why we see both Osath and Dishonored pick up those tank boots in the spot.
Dishonored here looking for his own blue buff and will come up a little bit short. Jingu's going to get ulted on the left side. Cope's trying to deal with the Thor on the right. Jingu goes down to the nice cans by Dishonored. King Arthur now has to answer as Cope takes down Kyrmi. 2-on-3. Scylla from the left side completely whiffs. And Team Exilium trying to push forward. They'll pick up another one.
Dishonored thinking about continuing this fight. Copebby still has the ultimate after all of that. Finally dumps it, but a little bit too little, too late. 2 for 1 for Exilium on that right side of the map.
A mess.
Just a lot of rotations, a lot of abilities. Not all of them land, but enough do for Exilium to get 2 kills.
Nice shots there. 2 for 2 at the moment. A little bit of a lead here by Team Cryptik. That's pretty much just the first blood that Diesel was able to grab earlier on in the contest. Everything else negated by that last team fight. Great job by Exilium to kind of answer back. In a situation that largely wasn't theirs, but a messy fight. Missed abilities on both sides of the fight wind up giving Exilium a little bit of a lead there.
Both team compositions have fairly strong mid to late games. I mean, you look at a Scylla on a team, it's always going to continue to get better and better as the game goes on. Whereas Cryptik, they have really good dive potential and good team fight potential in the later stages between the Zhong and the Ravana. I think both of those team fight fairly well. But you really want to leverage this Diesel ultimate while you can in that early game. A lot of times you see solo laners these days forego the teleport, and that's where the Chernobog looks like it's at its best.
Right.
Because you don't have that teleport to end up defending his split push. Not the case here. Dishonored does indeed have teleport. So I'm not too worried about that come the later stages of the game, which means that Cryptik should probably try and be pretty aggressive early on these side lanes and let Diesel join into these fights and give them an advantage.
That's the thought process. You see Team Cryptik not shying away from that. Diesel early in the game rotated over to the right side by way of the ultimate, and I think you can expect more of that to be sure. So Cryptik, they should be looking to be aggressive knowing that Diesel has that option available to him. But instead, they've been kept kind of under the thumb by a reason I am not privy to. Bayro hasn't exactly had a ton of pressure. He's a Scylla, so he's able to be pushed out of lane pretty early. Kyrmi is a threat, whether you see him or not, because he can come from the sky. There's a lot of other tools available, and that's been happening a lot. A land away from enemies. So if I'm Team Cryptik, these are the types of tells that I utilize to kind of grab the advantage.
Perfect time to take a fight on this left-hand side. You know Kyrmi's ultimate is down. That's using that Chernobog ultimate to your advantage. DayToRemeber even expends the purification beads. Still not enough to save his life.
Kyrmi here. Kyrmi trying to run away. Oh, secured by Mando. And now the fight after the fact. Nice dodge from Kyrmi, but JinguBang finds him. And that won't be that. Dishonored's here for it, so is Bayro. All right, take that back. Exilium able to defend their own blue buff. My mistake. Gold Fury could be a different story. Leashed out by Cryptik. Dishonored the target on the right. Osath and Bayo on the left. The ultimate out of Cope. Again, whiffs. Not a great look. 50% on the Gold Fury. Dishonored still being zoned. Cope dealing with the support and the Scylla one more time. That's help from Dishonored. Cope gets a kill while he zones, and the team grabs the objective. That's money for the maker. Dishonored gets a bite back versus Cryptik, but it's a 1-for-1 plus a Gold Fury, and Team Cryptik up on top by 2K.
Cope's going to end up sacrificing himself here, but he certainly did his job, created plenty of space in killing Bayroneri and securing Cryptik the Gold Fury at the same time. Bayroneri either has to decide we're getting in there and we're trying to steal this gold, don't care about my life in the situation. In that case, just pop the ult and run at it.
Yep.
I mean, you've got CC immunity, you'll force Cryptik to reset. If that's the end goal, that's what you should be doing. If that's not the end goal, then you should be using buttons on Cope. Kinda did neither. Died for it.
5-4. Team Cryptik are able to take their lead and push it to 1,000 now. And as long as Team Cryptik continue to make moves like this, it's going to be fine up until the last moments of the game, where Scylla will become a threat. Right now, she's being kept at bay is the terminology I'm going to be using. I think that she's been relevant, but has not had that instant impact that you see Scylla's have, whether we're memeing about the ultimate or even with respect to the crush. Bayro has been around the fights, but seemingly not central.
I like the idea of playing the Scylla against this Horus as Bayroneri uses Sentinel and immediately gets killed for it.
You know, nice combo by Kyrmi. Just locked Sibyl up. No way he was getting out of there. When you use Sentinel, it's a two-part ability, right?
Yeah.
And so you drop your Sentinel, and then you teleport to it.
Correct.
The Sentinel provides vision, right?
Sure does. Yeah, it's a ward.
So you should be able to tell if there's people waiting for you there?
Probably. I mean, he teleported pretty instantly, so didn't use it to check. You also just don't use Sentinel in that spot. I mean, he's going to lose his tier 1 tower soon anyways. To me, the difference between losing the tier 1 at 13:45 on the clock and 14:50 on the clock is irrelevant.
Right.
I'm losing it either way, so go the safe way. Don't use Sentinel. Don't lose your beads and your ultimate and give up a kill just for something that doesn't matter to you too much.
Cope walled up. Crush will provide some damage and strip those prots. Somebody's got to find it, and it will be Bayro. Nice look there for the Scylla, who previously kind of tumbled.
Early Divine Ruin, normally something that I'm not a huge fan of on Scylla, but I think in this build path makes some sense. No Book of Thoth, which is a little bit surprising to me. This is a quicker build for Bayroneri for sure, but if you're playing Scylla, I feel like you're playing for the late game anyways, but certainly pays off in that respect. If that's Book of Thoth Scylla, I don't think they kill Copebby. That early Divine Ruin and Brawler's Beat Stick combo from Kyrmi and Bayroneri is enough to bring down even a level 14 Hercules.
Hercules feels impenetrable in the late games because he largely is. But I think people overlook his mid game a lot. That's really where he's just unkillable warrior man. And I'm with you. I actually hate seeing early Divine Ruin. I think there are better options. But against a Hercules, there's no other choice, I think. Because if you do forego it until later on, Hercules just runs your mid game. And you can run away from him, and you can avoid him, which is usually how that's dealt with. But Team Cryptik are doing a great job of making sure that everybody is in the fight all the time. And so because of that, Exilium have to fight. You got to play the hand that you're dealt. And if Hercules keeps rotating, you got to respond.
Absolutely. And, I mean, Divine Ruin, Scylla has a lot of options where this item feels okay on her, but really all you want is outright power. She doesn't proc items super well. She doesn't make great use of cooldown, I don't think. I mean, items like, I would buy an item on Scylla that's just 2,600 gold, a ton of power, and no passive.
How much? 200?
No. It would, I mean, for 2,600,
penetration.
yeah, no pen hurts. I don't know, probably like 150 power for 2,600 gold. I would consider buying.
Okay.
I would consider it because you already get pen from the crush. That's like maybe not exactly, but
no, I get your mentality for sure. Expecting to see some high power items, you know, that we don't normally see. The Tahuti comes to mind. The Doom Orb, believe it or not, comes to mind. We've seen more Doom Orb being picked up. Some players have even kept it at Cursed Orb. 1,500 for that rank 2 Doom Orb is just enough to make sense. And I think people are just now kind of jumping on the boat. Buy Cursed Orb, move on, build Doom Orb later. How about Staff of Mirrodin?
no, it's so expensive, and the stats just don't justify the cost. It doesn't synergize well with her kit. I mean, because you're using everything to set up for I'm a Monster most of the time.
Right.
Sure, if you trust that Kyrmi's going to land a wall or an ult, then I can go in, I'm a Monster, hit them, and then double sick 'em them.
Double sick 'em, double crush.
Seems okay, but I don't know. Definitely better options for the costs, no doubt about it. I'd prefer Doom Orb, for sure.
Do more with Doom Orb. You got to keep your mind open. Jockeying for position around the Gold Fury. I always love the sounds of the game in these moments. You get a little bit of the bird chirping. You hear all the footsteps. One ability gets tossed out. Herc grunts. Pings for the team's finding positioning.
Bring the pain. Out of my way.
Then, all-in commit. Cryptik grabbed the objective, but the fight after is what we're talking about. Copebby tosses the rock, zoning 3 separate players. Kyrmi on the right side, taken out by the jungler. 2 players on 1, and Dishonored is able to handle it. King Arthur on the left side, no problemo. JinguBang getting the job done, and Cryptik take care of that and then some. A kill, a Gold Fury, and a sweet symphony.
Man, very, very close there for Exilium. Kyrmi makes a great dunk happen, just ends up a tiny, tiny bit too late. Look at this re-engagement coming in.
Bayro on the run, finding distance, wants to turn and burn. Can't do it. There's the turn. Where's the ultimate? Too late! And JinguBang sends him back to base the hard way. Cryptik hitting double digits off of the kill from MandoWarrior. The rotation from the short side to the long lane, and he's doing anything but coming up short, Ryan. I have loved his transition to carry.
Fire Giant down to about 2/3. Dishonored gonna be here. Low mana pools for a lot of members here on Cryptik. JinguBang not a lot of abilities in the tank. Same thing for MandoWarrior.
Anti-heal for Cope or JinguBang is a question. The beat sticks online, and that's why Dishonored falls down. Look at this zone coming out from the 2 players, while the rest of the team is trusted to take care of the objective. Middle of the pack jacks for sure. That's a high-level play. That's a team that has been doing their homework and trying to improve, and I give them the utmost respect. I love to see teams be able to split and divide and conquer. That, to me, is really important.
Cryptik plays that fight really, really well, and I think that engagement in the middle lane, where Cryptik really blows the game open, is a perfect showcase of why we're putting mages in the long lane instead of these hunters. Let's say MandoWarrior's playing Rom.
Right.
And he's walking out of top left, sees 3 people staring at him. He's got to run. No matter how much farm he has, he'll put out a little bit of damage maybe, and then play a little bit slower. As Zhong, he gets to triple card them and just walk out because he's so tanky and does so much damage, and he's just he's such a higher level than them. There's no way they can contest at that point. He was level 17 at the time, now level 19. A Hunter can't do what Mando just did, and he started that whole fight going well for Cryptik.
I mean, a Hunter only has 1 basic attack. Mando's got 2.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about for sure. Yeah. Yep. Go ahead.
MandoWarrior really providing the structure damage here. Kyrmi in an ultimate on the backside, and nobody really cares. Cryptik still pushing forward. Frenzy is popped, and so is Kyrmi. For the King Arthur as he's surrounded and getting pounded. Not grounded just yet. Tier 2 tower still stands here, Ryan, but not for long. Because you know who showed up?
Who's that, Tom?
Zhong with the double basics.
You say that, by the way, but
it's a basic in
a long time ago, Uzi was trying to tell us that Zhong solo was OP because he takes towers twice as fast.
1.5 as fast. Bayro in trouble on the back line. Does not have the numbers to fight with the rest of the squad. Team Cryptik put a baker's dozen up and another. That's 14. 22 minutes on the clock. They're looking for a deicide. 2 players kicked. That one's confirmed. And this is going to be over quickly.
That's a bad decision or two by Exilium and a couple good plays by Cryptik are a good way to end the game pretty quickly. A great game from Mando on the Zhong, 2-0 and 8 for him. JinguBang basically from minute 1 had a really good showing. That fight right there on the Phoenix, he's able to handle both carries, get a bunch of ults, a bunch of relics, and stay very safe the entire time. Cryptik just looked like the better team.
Exactly. Just strong execution around the Gold Fury. That was probably the biggest coin flip. But I maintain, let's say Kyrmi steals away the gold. Sure. Cryptik still win the fight. They still win the mid lane fight. They still win the towers down the lane. And they still take the Titan in 22, 23 minutes. I think that Gold Fury really was anybody's game. It was about the execution after.
I completely agree. I mean, this Exilium team still needs to work a little bit on the decision making more than anything else, I think.
Fun to watch. One in the book. Back to you guys on the desk.
Thanks, Tom. My name is Finch, and I like good Smite, and that's what we just got to see there in game number 1. Cryptik, at least, played very well in that set, and Exilium had some struggles. I got Anatoly Alexandrov right here next to me to help break it down a bit. And I don't know, man, I don't feel like the Scylla quite worked here this game. Do you think that was the core of the problems, or what went wrong here?
That was a little bit of the problems. A lot of it came down to the diving Bash brothers, the old C3 mighty combo between the Ravana and the Hercules. Copebby and JinguBang really making it really hard, I would say, for Bayron on the Scylla.
Yeah, I mean, it was just going to be really tough for Bayroneri to have a good game this time. Like you said, there was too much dive potential. This Thor ordinarily should have been able to come online a little bit earlier there too, but Kyrmi was not given any room to operate in that regard either. And how much can we say about this game that JinguBang had, man? I mean, his target selection was perfect, the timings that they picked. They really did not give Exilium room to breathe or farm in this game.
I mean, look at the player damage there for Bayroneri. He's like the second from the lowest on a Scylla.
He used a bunch of ults to run away. He didn't have a choice.
I mean, it does give you 35% movement speed, which is a good escape tool, but you want to use it for the damage more than the defensive measure. So I understand that point, but it wasn't easy with all the frontline, backline penetration.
Yeah, I don't think it was a misplay, but it's just like, unfortunately, that was the texture of the game, is that he basically had to do that in so many different spots, and it hurt them in this one. So now I feel like the question becomes for Exilium, what adjustments they have to make in the picks and bans. They didn't give up anything of particularly huge value. Maybe Zhong the highest one. They got some good picks themselves. I don't think they got particularly outdrafted.
No, definitely not, but when you're running a Scylla, it's hard for the Fafnir to peel for you. That's more of an offensive-focused support, more objective-minded when you're going for the coerce on your hunters in the backline. You run like a Kronos and a Hachiman or something like that with the Fafnir. That's not really what Exilium did, and they were never really able to control the objectives with the Fafnir to justify the pick.
And I think that goes into the argument when we say a team that struggles when they're behind. Everyone struggles when they're behind, obviously, but there are some teams I think are even worse behind than others. And I think this draft might have been that. If they're starting these fights off on their terms with this Thor and this Fafnir and the Scylla to follow up, Cryptik probably melt. But they never got to start fights on their terms the whole game. Cryptik was the one dictating the pace.
Yeah, the Ravana Hercules combo, too much for Exilium to handle. So we'll see how they adjust as they're down 0-1 now in this best of 3 set.
They're saying that Sibyl was part of the problem, so no Horus happening here this time. They are taking that one away right away. The set ban too. They are going to ban Thoth, so it looks like that's going to be the one adjustment ban they make based on the game. The rest will probably end up being meta bans, I imagine, on the backside of this. But I don't think there's anything wrong with taking that Horus away.
Yeah, if I'm Exilium, I'm leaving Isis and the Thor open so I can get at least one or the other. Team Cryptik with only one more ban, so it's going to be a good opportunity to still get that global pressure.
Well, they will take another shot here. This was MandoWarrior's pick last game. He was on the Zhong, so they've really eyed the duo lane. That's a thing of the past here now, right? They went towards Sibyl and MandoWarrior and took their picks out. Cryptik banned away the Isis, which means that Thor is open for Kyrmi again if he wants.
He didn't really seem to be that much of an impact in the early game that you would expect out of your Thor player. You want to see more early game rotations, more invades collectively. But the problem is Scylla doesn't have that mid-power push that you want to pair up with the early game Thor. So now Exilium looking for a late game focused Amaterasu.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised. We might have to just start getting used to seeing Amaterasu valued this highly up. We've seen her get banned in almost every single game and picked when she hasn't been. So clearly her value starting to skyrocket here a bit for Exilium. But on the other side, Cryptik get Athena Merlin. That is such a potent combination to get early. There's still a lot of good picks out there, obviously, in response, but that's not a bad start.
Amaterasu is going to need to do work on this Merlin to dive that backline, because there's going to be so much consistent damage just flooding down between the blizzards and the ice bolts, or frost bolts rather. So this Khepri is another defensive measure of doing that. Good way to lock down the Merlin potentially from a safe distance with a root. Maybe force an early flicker for somebody else to follow up.
Susano comes out again. They'll be going a different path for Kyrmi's pick. This is a bit worrying. That means Cryptik can come all the way back around and get Thor here in this slot if they want, or potentially even a bit later and maybe force Exilium to ban it later on if that wasn't their plan. But I do think this is interesting. I kind of like Khepri into Ama, where you can put the res onto the target. So since you can't really peel it in the other way, you can at least drop the res. But now they're on the same team, so they don't even have to worry about it.
That mobility is going to be really scary, though, as well, because Amaterasu in the late game, you're using that 25% movement speed or to chase down your opposition or to run away from them. And when you have a Hu Yi to slow down your team, you want that extra mobility to go past it. Needs a sprint on top to avoid the slows.
A third ban from what we saw in Game 1, the Ravana being taken away from JinguBang. The only ones available that were in that game on the side of Cryptik are this Chernobog and the Hercules, and neither one really being looked at just yet by Cryptik. So they're willing to go back to the drawing board, despite how well Game 1 went for them. They've got multitude of ways to win. We'll see if this second one works.
I like the Ravana ban. They recognized, like, it was one part of the puzzle.
A pretty good part.
The Bash brothers. Now,
Yeah.
Hercules was another big part for Copebby, but with Athena locked in, you don't know necessarily where the Athena is going, but not taking any chances, going to strip it away.
That's 4 pieces of the puzzle that was so difficult for Exilium to handle in Game 1. But I mean, if I'm being honest, it didn't seem like Cryptik were in a bit of a rush to get to those pieces, so they've got their own strategy. Between the Athena and the Hunbots, good luck keeping your beads off cooldown this game, guys. I mean, you might have to do Mag Eyes or something, I don't know.
Am I mistaken, or was Oleron like banned game number 1?
I think it was first banned, yeah.
Not picked. Kronos still open, Thor still open. So interesting to see how the meta shifts in between like best of 3s or even best of 5s.
It is a bit surprising and what point things are valued and then forgotten or overlooked or just not needed in certain drafts. So this time it'll be Poseidon and the Sun Wukong. A lot of the times you want the Whirlpool into a team where there's a lot of dashes, and this could really work to interrupt the Athena.
No physical or magical hunter on the side of Exilium to try to get that consistent damage. A lot of ability based, and I'm thinking maybe a Susano in this long lane. Put an assassin there to try to win that 1v1 against the hunter.
That's interesting. I mean, they have too many frontliners, don't they? Between the Ama, the Khepri, and the Wukong, someone's got to go somewhere. At the very least, they have Poseidon with that trident. His repeated damage is good, but remember, that doesn't add a ton to your actual towers or structure damage or anything like that. In team fights, though, it's going to be potent.
And this tier last pick, I love it. Athena, Hunbats, they're already burning beats quite a lot.
Yeah.
And you add a tier on top of that, that's the third kind of just big stamp to try to seal the envelope and deliver it.
And that's right. Remember, we added the disarm there for him as well, so you can get through the Mag-Eye's cloaks now, too. I think that this, in terms of just how much strong control Cryptik has, they're way ahead. But Exilium do have some really nice tools, too. This Khepri can get single targets out of trouble. Now this Poseidon has a lot of pressure to find a big Kraken. Wherever it goes, it's still kind of unclear based on this draft. We'll have to wait and see where they actually put these pieces.
Now, I'm not saying Exilium is an all or bust in kind of draft for these team fights, but there's more execution required out of Exilium's draft based on Cryptik, where they're just going to look for beads and then go in again when your backline is totally vulnerable. Might force out some early Scarab's Blessings, but you could go through that yet again.
It feels like it just puts so much pressure onto this Poseidon pick. Can they rise up to that pressure? We'll find out in Game 2.
We're looking for our gamers to rise up. This might be it. Team Exilium trying to get their win to stretch it to third game. And Cryptik trying to close it out quick and easy here. DayToRemeber on
That's not the way to go.
Warrior carry, trying to proxy farm versus the Merlin, making every mistake in the book. Blink is all right. Doesn't have animals.
Pretty sure if he just would have walked through the fire, he takes a lot less damage and doesn't need to blink. But it's all right. I mean, Wukong, you see this sometimes in solo lane. Need to get a little bit of proxy farm in. Mando ends up not changing stance to try and get the kill. Do wonder if he changes stance while Day is in the middle of the minion wave and slows him a little bit with that blizzard. Might have been able to get that kill.
So there's something to be said about putting your opponent off kilter, right? You pick something weird, opponent doesn't know how to respond to it. Sure. The Sun Wukong carry. So I am a big proponent of anything in the carry lane works theoretically because you're just putting a bunch of farm on somebody, right?
Sure.
Sun Wukong, not my favorite character to make use of a bunch of farm. I've defended Sun Wukong jungle in the past. I think the jungle kind of works. This carry role kind of leaves a little bit to be desired. And if you're trying to say, like, well, my opponent doesn't know what's up, this is MandoWarrior, who has been a solo laner for a long time.
Yep.
And so I think this choice, I'm aware it's just a minute in, I think this Sun Wukong choice is largely a failure.
I agree that it does not check a lot of the boxes that I want in carry.
Yeah.
If you're not putting a mage or a hunter in the long lane, you're picking a character that can bully the mages and the hunters.
Yep.
Wukong can do that, but he doesn't have the sustain to get through the poke damage that he's going to eat by doing that. You look at what Annister did for SSG with his move over to the long lane as of late, picking gods like Camazotz. Camazotz can sustain a lot, poke you out, all in you. They can kind of do all of that. Wukong can all in you pretty well, especially with the blink that DayToRemeber has. Merlin is very susceptible to getting 1v1. It's not a great flicker. I know it's a cause of frustration for some members of the community. The ability is not super good when you're trying to run away from someone. This is the character you want to pick something good that can solo him against. I just don't know that Wukong was the pick.
Also, the high end is really what I'm missing here, in that you're making something in the carry lane. Like you mentioned, Annister, Camazotz levels ahead with all the power and items in the world. That's, you die, right?
Yeah.
And let's go down the oddball warrior pathway. Hercules, Chalk.
Man, I thought you were going to say Chalk first. So I should have. I was so close, man.
I didn't specifically. But
You wanted to say Chalk first, but
I
decided
did.
not to?
Yes.
Yeah.
But realistically, Chalk is one of these characters that deals a bunch of damage if you allow him to build a bunch of damage.
Yeah, but he all-ins you so poorly. I mean,
Sure.
it's so
Yes.
hard to get solo kills with Chalk. And that's where I think the disconnect is there, is that Wukong is somewhat the same. I mean, you can find solo kills with Wukong for sure. His chase down potential is really, really good, which you put to great use in a long lane
Right.
like he's in on that side of the map. But
We can agree on a Hercules.
yeah, Hercules gets killed so easily, though. I mean, Hercules doesn't have the mobility. The reason that Camazotz works is because of his ability to also escape danger.
Uh-oh.
And this is...
Are we gonna have an omelet on our face?
No, I mean, Mando just shouldn't be that far up the lane. This is what Wukong does. This is the best power spike Day's going to have the entire game. It's
Truth.
backing and finishing full boots where Mando doesn't have them.
Right.
So you just can't contest it. And even if that calls for Sibyl rotating over, sharing a wave or two because he's going to zone you, that's fine. You cannot get soloed, fall behind. That is how you're going to end up losing the game.
The 1v1 potential of the Wukong is what we had noted. What does Wukong... But that's kind of what I was getting at with the other choices was, all right, so you're a Wukong. You got a 4-level lead in all the items. Cool. You know, you're not murdering players the way you are when a mage walks out of that lane. Zhong walks into the mid lane, 4 levels your senior, and you die. He chooses to. Osath in trouble. Everybody circles on top. Osath will wiggle out. Nice interception of the dash by Barrow. And there's a pullback, and Diesel goes down. Team play. Team Exilium. Nice job getting their second kill.
Don't think Cryptik realized that Osath already had the tank boots online. All those ticks of Fear No Evil and Sunbreaker, they're not hurting Osath a whole lot. They're just giving him extra protections.
Sibyl in trouble here as the blue team looks for the red buff invade. Kyrmi's able to snatch that one away, it looks like. Good job here by Team Exilium one more time. We'll keep an eye on this DayToRemeber pick. For what it's worth, the Wukong will bring a lot of presence in the mid game. Soul Leader is what I'm going to say has been the next item.
Yep, I think that's a a wise selection by DayToRemeber and lets him sustain through some of the poke damage.
That was a big point that you were bringing up.
Yeah, so it'll work well. It's an item that synergizes well with him. He's got a lot of abilities that are going to deal relevant damage throughout the game, get a bit of sustain off of them, some CDR he likes, a little bit of mana. I'm here for it.
If you're going to do it, this is the way you do it for sure. Soul Leader into a Transcendence or Shift Your Shield is probably even better. Big power, some sideways CDR as well. Carry Sun Wukong. I don't hate it. I am eager to check it out. I don't think the math works out.
I mean, he's already got the solo kill and he's ahead. But
that's what I'm saying. Like,
as you've highlighted, it's not nearly as scary having a Wukong rotate to these team fights as it is a Thoth or a Zhong.
Like I said, stay in the Warrior. You know, you're 4 levels up. You blink in a lane as a Hercules, driving strike, ultimate. That guy's dead. Sun Wukong, you know, Tiger Stun, 2-1 slaps you. You're still at half HP. Blink in, one monkey to another. DayToRemeber into the ult, and you got a free life. Lands on top of JinguBang. Does he want to fight?
He definitely can. He's got blink up as soon as he gets out of combat.
Oh, the blink forward, and the Master's will. There's something. There's got to be something funny there about killing JinguBang with the JinguBang.
Well, he did. He killed him with Master's will.
Well, the JinguBang is the staff. The staff is used in Master's will.
That's true. We've always called the one JinguBang.
Both.
Fair point.
Hell, I'm gonna die.
That seems reasonable.
Diesel trying to run away. Nice save by Sibyl. Sibyl doesn't ult there. Likely Diesel dies to some incidental damage. What are some other names of historical weapons in Smite? You've got the JinguBang for the monkey. Who else has an item that we can think of?
You start.
JinguBang for the monkey king.
No, besides that one. Like the second one.
Trident for Poseidon.
Okay. Spear for Achilles.
No, Poseidon's trident is special. Achilles is spear.
Okay, how about the shield of Achilles then? Does that work for you?
Sure.
Okay, you go next.
Bastion of Light for Nike.
What?
The Bastion of Light. That's her shield. That's the name of her shield.
The one that she just got added?
No, well, that's the name of Nike's shield, like historically.
Ah.
Yeah, Bastion of Light.
Okay. All right. Apollo's finger guns.
No, that's not how this works.
What do you mean? That's in the game.
That's not. I'm talking about like historical, mythological impact.
Right. That's why you got it in the kit. He had finger guns.
I don't think that's. Now, if you said Apollo's chariot, I would agree that was a fantastic roller coaster at Busch Gardens in the late 90s.
Apollo's chariot.
That was a fantastic roller coaster. Kyrmi getting ulted on here, but his teammates are in the wings. So he's got a taunt. Nice save by the support. And Osath puts him under a tower. And Copebby has to walk away.
Kraken lands on a Diesel. Walked the wrong way into mid, friend.
Can't do it.
Yeah, that's not... I don't... Man, same thing happened to Bayroneri in game 1, where you Sentinel underneath the tower. Just coming in from the jungle, it's laziness that gets both these mid laners killed.
Blink one more time from DayToRemeber.
Only 181 to go.
The flyaway is good. Gold Fury, one more time, the target. Or at least where players will be rotating. It's going to be purple buff, that's the target. Bayro has no buttons to press here, so I don't like this decision. Quickly, Exilium walk away towards the Oracles, which is a better move. 10 minutes in, you've got to be starting to be leery about Gold Fury. MandoWarrior being so adept at shredding the objective. Diesel as well. Drop the suns, drop the flames, it's dead. So you better have vision. Exilium just get it.
Interesting that Mando goes Jade Emperors here. This is an item we see on solo laners a decent amount, specifically for gods like Zhong or Jormungandr, gods that want to play at least semi-aggressive. I don't love it on the Merlin, though.
I mean, Day is kind of doing it to him.
No, he definitely needs some physical protection in this match. You're going to be dove by a Wukong, a Susano, and an Ama. I'm just more of a fan. I would have loved a breastplate into a book sort of option.
Oh, the all-in.
Yeah, you go all the mana so that you don't have to worry about mana consumption, and you get a lot more protection that way. You get a bunch of CDR. Even if you want to go into this Helm route, Dynasty Plate I think is just better than Jade Emperors for a Merlin. He's going to be doing so much of his damage from a distance, and you're lacking that pen option. Look, Dynasty Plate Helm is not as good as it used to be, for sure. But still, I think better for the Merlin.
Red Buff Invade dissuaded by Team Cryptik. Kyrmi immediately wiped off the map. Another big save from Osath, but nobody's done yet. Bayro follows up, but it's Diesel with a double kill. Knew that one was coming. Osath saves the life of his jungler. He's just waiting to get killed after the fact. DayToRemeber makes the rotation, and this Wukong is slapping players. MandoWarrior blinks out of the stun from the Amaterasu. The damage is still here. Jumps on top, misses, but Dishonored's there to pick up the slack.
Sun Wukong making it work, man. 3-0-4 for DayToRemeber on this Wukong. Cope trying to get a little bit more and get that kill onto Osath. And I think that's a little bit too much distance now. Even with a Fearless, change stance Fearless, he's not catching him. That's a good team fight for Exilium despite having Kyrmi be a non-factor. You got one shot.
3-0-4 for the Sun Wukong, and this easily could be 5-0-2, to be honest with you, after that last team fight. We're definitely days.
It's a good thing that happened. Bayroneri would have flattened JinguBang had he had teleported properly to DayToRemeber. That's one option. He's got 20% CDR. It's not too bad.
I always say that Blink is Tier's ultimate, really. That's not really true, though.
I mean, it's really important in the way that an ultimate is. I mean, if I'm Dishonored, I'm going, yo guys, he doesn't have an ult, so let's kill him while proxying. Mando gets gifted a couple oracles as Bayroneri pushes them towards that frostball.
Jokes aside, I really don't hate the flip over the wall there. Like, if you're going to play defensively for the next minute, I don't want to see you at enemy speed buff if your ultimate is on cooldown because you jumped over a wall.
Yeah, but he got those archers.
Oh man, Cope. Oh baby. Susano going to be rotating on him. Susano 3 levels. Here's Junior. He's probably less likely to want to jump on in there. But even still, not the greatest of looks. 14 minutes in, and Exilium on their way to a game number 3. This one, though, could be Team Cryptik sequence as Kyrmi with a hair of HP finds 2 kills and gets saved by the support. Yeah, you better jump away. That feels good.
That was sick by Kyrmi, though. Very last second was able to find it. Mando gets found again. DayToRemeber just keeping the pressure on in this lane. Another solo kill for him. 4-0-4.
I love the itemization. Check it out.
And Chile right after that Soul Eater. More CDR, a little bit of magical protection, a silence that'll mess Mando up. I was not a believer in the Wukong.
Then you saw his face.
Didn't do a whole lot for me anyways, but gotta admit, DayToRemeber's playing it well and it's working. Yeah, I've heard the song.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. You didn't acknowledge my Blink 182 line earlier, so I didn't feel the need to acknowledge
I loved that, and you know I loved that. It was just better if I didn't touch it. It was better without me sullying the moment.
I guess that's true.
I could have been like, yes, I get it. Because there wasn't really a... Cool, dude.
Yo, go. Maybe walk a little.
Cope is out here just like parkouring his way to work.
Cope's the dude who gets in the car to drive 30 feet and park in a new spot because the store he wants to go to a different store in the same strip mall.
You ever take an Uber around the block?
Yeah, that's what Cope's doing right now.
Like a couple of people in the office like ride their bike to work. That's one thing. What if you're riding your bike and like constantly like doing tricks off of ramps and stuff? Tail whip, and like the guy next to you is like, I'm just trying to get to work, man. That's what it feels like Cope's doing right now.
Why don't you just ask Tolly to do some tail whips next time he bikes? He probably would for you.
Totally would, actually.
You want it to be like some people. Who knows?
I could see Joe riding his bike to work every now and then.
Joe Bro, maybe.
Jump away from Dishonored. A good talk from Sibyl. Separated Diesel again from the opposition. Where's they going? Void Shield?
Yep, Void Shield, a little bit of pen. Mando actually got a flicker in. They won't have that information.
Dangerous still. Not as strong as the stun, but the whole squad's here. Now trouble as Copebby coming around the backside. Has the ultimate available. Will he use it in a team fight? Fearless power cleave saved by the support. Cope still looking for the outside pressure. Finds the blue stands. Fearless doesn't really do much here. Gets out. Fearless again to the back line. But Team Cryptik, they're just not dying.
So healthy, and Osath has played so well this game. I mean, what, that's 4 members as Cope does go up and over the wall yet again with that ultimate. Blink in as well, but Bayroneri had the beat still. Now Cope in a bit of trouble, but big heal, another Fearless away. Disarms the team on the way out. Diesel finds a nice ricochet, but only level 12. My man's level 15 there. Day's probably dead, but that's not the mid lane meta these days.
Little salt in that call?
How do you mean?
Just asking. Cope on this tier character. I just feel like he's not bringing to the fight the same as Dishonored. Dishonored is showing up, providing the team with all these auras and everything. He's leveled down. And 3-0-1, 1-0-2, so last night don't tell the whole story. Cope's gonna get grabbed up here. Shot down. Still not dead yet. There it is. The final hit. Dishonored, actually. Ironically, the one that killed. I just haven't felt the impact from Cope.
It's done a lot of player damage, but I agree that it has not been
Relevant player damage. It's unfortunate.
effective player damage for sure.
Better word.
Osath has been able to provide so many good Rising Dawns and great Scarab's Blessings. It's been tough for not just Cope, but the entirety of Cryptik to stay relevant.
I'm glad you mentioned Osath. Exilium and Osath have the Gold Fury down 50%. MandoWarrior will send some purple stuff in there. And Sybyl's here as well. There's the Whirlpool, and Exilium are able to confirm not just 1, but 2 kills. DayToRemeber has a free life, and Diesel has an Aegis. Spin to win. And DayToRemeber walk away. 6-0-5 for the pick that both commentators sat here questioning. Hey, man. If it works, it ain't stupid, right?
Nice little teleport to the monkey bounce. Gets him out of Dishonored stun, but not out of the range of Bayroneri. Osath sacrifices himself. Copebby effective that time around. But you called it, man. I mean, the Wukong, gotta eat my words.
Yeah.
Way better than I thought it would be.
Totally here for that as well. I mean, that's he's doing it to him. I mean, and it would be Day. It would be DayToRemeber that's gonna bring it out here. DayToRemeber really kind of crushing it.
You a fan of the band of DayToRemeber?
Production says no. I say we're only 19 minutes in. DayToRemeber is not so bad. They came towards the end of that post-hardcore stage in the late 2000s. They were a little bit like before some of the new stuff like Attila and Amity Project, and after a lot of the golden age of emo post-hardcore. So DayToRemeber is a band that, while I don't outright disrespect like some of those face painters we see later on in the genre, they don't have the same space in my heart like the true terror chord originators. At the end of the day, if you're looking for a band that can provide you some nice, like, melodic hardcore and some decent breakdowns, they're not terrible, but I just don't find the innovation there. I feel like the guitar work is a little bit lackluster. The bass is all one thing, but I always bring up the drums for DayToRemeber. You can't play metalcore or post-hardcore and not have double bass. And when I see them, what's going on, I don't like the lack of double bass whatsoever. So I'll say half and half.
I like them.
I bet you do.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. I don't know. They are a little bit lacking on the double bass.
What's your favorite band that employs double bass?
Probably Dance Gavin Dance.
Really?
They do a good
Aggro,
job.
mentioning a real band.
Yeah.
That's sick.
I like Dance Gavin Dance. That's a good band.
Downtown Battle Mountain or self-titled?
Probably self-titled. Yeah.
I will say, I will tell you one thing. Johnny Craig is a Smite fan.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
He does like himself some Smite. Plays a lot of Poseidon, actually. That's right.
My man, that's what I'm talking about. I love a Poseidon player. Poseidon, near and dear to the heart, for sure.
Bayro playing on the Poseidon, 4-2-5. That's my smooth segue away from the post-hardcore conversation.
Very nicely done.
By the way, shout outs to Johnny, if you're watching. Johnny and Nick probably watching at home. Shout outs to them. Cool stuff.
Look, I mean, Cryptik looked so good in game 1 of this set, really dominated Exilium, but Exilium has done a good job of getting a lead and really choking out Cryptik a little bit this game. Probably need a little bit more on the buff invade side. Diesel's able to get the red. Cope's still able to get his blue most of the time, but this mid 3v3 is their lead is centered around Bayroneri on this Poseidon right now. So we're going to need to see Exilium play around Bayro and around DayToRemeber. But this window for Day is not going to remain for long. I mean, he's still eventually going to be 20-item damage Wukong, and that's not going to cut it in the late game.
That said, New Heartseeker is definitely interesting enough. The design intent behind New Heartseeker is to extend those assassins and ability-based characters into the later stage games. That was the intent of the item. And here is Sun Wukong, a character that falls off in the late game, building Heartseeker. I mean,
I just don't know if he has enough power for it to really matter.
I wanted the trans here. Yeah.
This item is dependent on your own individual power. Stays really by himself, has to use beads, even with that Chile proc. But Osath still has the ultimate, so it might not be a death sentence.
An interesting juggle of responsibilities. Carry shifted over to Zoner, right? And I'm with you. I think Perfect World on Chile winds up being a transcendent, but because of the nonsense in the individual matchups MandoWarrior presented, on Chile was very powerful to him and allowed him to get some of those 1v1s in that long lane. So I don't hate the on Chile pickup, but at the end of the day, the Transcendence would certainly feed well into the Heartseeker. I would not be opposed to selling Maid's Blessing for Transcendence. I think that, sure, you got to stack it and everything, but a late game trans is still a late game trans. I'm still here for it.
Might need Titan's Bane, though, to just get some pens that you're not... I mean, at this point, he's all damage, and Copebby can ignore him. Because he only has Void Shield pen. It's just not enough. And that Heartseeker proc is affected by penetration as well. You need some more than just the Void Shield.
Titan's Bane, probably the choice here. Scrum up north. Cryptik zoning out DayToRemeber on the right side, forced into the ultimate already. Bayro and support combining on Cope, and nobody cares. Diesel gets Dayed up, and that's 7 kills without a death.
Beautiful, beautiful, clean movement from Kyrmi. Still gets cleaned up by Copebby on the back end, but DayToRemeber, no beads, no problem, all the way in between the tier 2 and the Phoenix. 3 for 1 in favor of Exilium. Cope has an Enchile of his own. Incredible item against Khepri. Abduct oftentimes the initiator. Does not work well against Enchile, just makes you stop in your tracks.
DayToRemeber still got Hunter in his blood, looking for the split push here on the Sun Wukong. Copebby's behind him, taking care of all the minions. Sun Wukong has to get on out of here.
That was cute. Cope uses his blue stance Fearless as a knock-up immunity so that he doesn't get knocked up by that Nox form. And as a result, it's going to give Day a little bit of problem, but enough CDR there for Day between the Soul Eater and the Enchile to have 72 transformations up soon.
9,000 gold in the lead as Team Exilium, 14 kills as well. As we reach our 25th minute, I still take my hat off to Osath. DayToRemeber has dominated the conversation. A returning veteran, always good to see him. Straight up, on a personal level, shout out to Day. Cool to see him back around. On an analytical level, oddball pick, gonna be bringing it out, fun stuff. But Osath has enabled all 4 of his teammates. Yep. All 4 of these players around this Khepri have to buy Osath something. At some point, Osath has saved them with one of their abilities.
And Dishonored has played very, very well. On top of that, 4-0 for this Amaterasu. Been a part of 9 of Exilium's 20 kills. Not a bad rate for a solo laner. He's been impactful in these team fights as well.
Objective down to 25. Frenzy is popped, and they're going to look for the finish. DayToRemeber playing zone duty. I like that. One more time. Fire Dragon goes down. Team Cryptik will start the split push, and that is the correct move, I think. Fighting into that would have been a little bit precarious. I see a world where Copebby gets a Athena ult channeled on him, ults over the wall, looks for a big play. I don't mind the safe and sound decision to split push here. Look for the tier 1. Tier 2, I would have been even more happy, but neither here nor there. Lead stretched to 10,000. Exilium in the driver's seat and then some.
Looking like we might have a game 3 here at this rate. I mean, Cryptik down by a considerable margin. XP is getting less and less relevant. There's a lot of these carries hitting level 18, level 17 in the case of Diesel. So it's not going to be that bad in the XP department for much longer, but itemization is certainly a problem. Day does finish the build with Titan's Bane and find himself 6 slotted, even with an upgrade on the Purification Beads. Dishonored has all 6 items. Bayroneri 5 with the Blessing still. Same thing for Kyrmi. Cryptik on the other side, only Copebby has enough to finish off his build. Still has the Glad Shield in tow, so still not optimal for the late game yet.
Day is shifted over to solo lane, it looks like, as we exit our laning phase and now take positions into a different level.
He did a bunch of damage to Cope. Wow.
Yeah.
Titan's Bane's really good, and people should buy it.
People sleep on it a little bit.
I don't get it, man. It's so strong, and especially in conjunction with the Heartseeker. Can we see how much power Day actually has from items? 347, so he's really not far off with that Fire Giant buff and a red buff. He's pretty close to that full proc of the Heartseeker. Fire and red make up a lot of that difference for sure. Without those 2 buffs, Day loses a lot of effectiveness.
Left side, Exilium focusing on the Phoenix. 13 Thou Out is the lead. Cope on the back line trying to harass players, but harass is all he'll get. Big damage on top. Swag Flip puts him forward, and Dishonored gonna follow up and help out. DayToRemeber puts a dot on that one. 9 without a death for the returning veteran. DayToRemeber on the Sun Wukong carry. Making space. Phoenix down. And Exilium ready to fight. Falling back and looking for the mid-Phoenix is probably the better call.
Day is just causing so much havoc in this backline, man. I mean, he blinks in, he's on top of both Diesel and MandoWarrior. Even with Sybyl's Athena ult, it wasn't enough to keep them safe. Day was able to chase both out of that team fight.
Kraken comes out. 3 versus 5. Mid lane Phoenix, but it's a fight that Exilium are interested in. JinguBang and MandoWarrior fall back. Halfway done with the bird already. Bang. 2 players pulled in thanks to MandoWarrior. The Whirlpool's enough spacing. Shot from Diesel. Not good enough. Mid lane Phoenix falls down. I love the way you phrase that, because that's what Sun Wukong does with low damage out of a tank position in the solo lane. You have a Sun Wukong blink to your back line, slow everybody, knock everybody up, and the damage is low because you assume that the teammates are going to follow up off of the slows and the knockups and all the nonsense that Sun Wukong is doing in the back line. Well, if you shift him to a carry position, which admittedly, Magi's Cloak, Void Shield, Anjuna, he's still, this is a very half and half hybrid build that you could see coming out of the solo lane. I mean, look at Cope's build. It's very similar, right? So DayToRemeber has shifted into the solo lane position, like I said, post-lane phase, dealing with Copebby on the regular and blinking to the back line like a regular old Sun Wukong would, except he's got a Heartseeker, he's got Titan's Bane, and we're calling him the carry because that's his role. This is honestly a really nicely crafted draft from Exilium. I'm sorry, I didn't recognize it on the get-go.
Certainly proved us wrong. He's played very well on this selection, but it still requires a team effort. I think everyone from Exilium has played much better this game.
You definitely have to buy into that position swap for sure.
No doubt. So now a little bit less power for Day without the boots. That does affect him, but might as well also have the red pot to kind of complement the lack of power that you're getting from the boots. Still want to stay around or as close to 400 power as you can, as that is the cap for the Heartseeker procs. Kyrmi should be pretty close to that as well. Once he gets Fire Giant, I mean, he's sitting at 49 stacks of the Transcendence, one more. He'll have that fully stacked up, plus a Crusher, plus a Hydras. He's sitting pretty.
I would have rather see this Magi Cloak be a Transcendence or a Shifter Shield, something with a lot of power on it to confirm that. That said, 0 deaths.
Yeah.
Who are we to say anything, right?
I mean, it's just that at this point, Day doesn't need to be one-shotting anybody anymore. He's already done that part of his job.
It's a great point.
We're in the late game now. He needs to be able to be a little bit more survivable, be able to not rely on Osath's ultimate quite as much because he's getting so far away from Osath. Let Osath worry about Bayroneri and Kyrmi, and maybe Dishonored if he's tanking the tower for Day, and let Day kind of do his own thing. Magi's enables that a bit.
The guys on Exilium, backside of the right. Big play. He's going to join, and Dishonored has already killed MandoWarrior. Kyrmi's already put Sibyl in the ground, and Diesel on the run. Day chases in the fountain and gets the Goomba stomp. That's one way to put an end to that jungler. And the rest of Team Cryptik will likely follow suit. Storming the throne room is Team Exilium. Gonna have some problems here. Finally, the wave of minions come in, and this should be the end.
Tighten down to 50%. Get ready to update your tier lists, ladies and gentlemen. Wukong ADC clearly the top of the charts. S tier for sure. At least they made it look that way. 11-0-6 is not too shabby.
You know, I really want to break down this Sun Wukong choice because I think after the fact, after digesting everything, I think I sort of get it. The early game 1v1 potential specifically against the Merlin, that's there. We addressed that. We liked it from the get-go.
Sure.
Mid-game is where Sun Wukong does a lot of his damage. Mid-game is where he gets to be a carry. And so that's where we saw him transition, get some of these individual kills that transition into objectives and objective secures. And then late game, Sun Wukong damage falls off. Even with the advent of a Heartseeker, he's still not as devastating as some of the other choices. But what he does do is devastate backlines by disrupting them. And he outright switched positions, taking the man-on-man with Cope that time around. It was a 3-stage mindset, and the team had to buy in, but it worked.
Sure. At the same time, I think Mando itemized a little bit poorly, played that lane a little bit poorly. JinguBang comes over, feeds a kill that he shouldn't have because he fell behind in a 3v3. And at that point, the game was snowballed to the point where he could be playing literally anything and make an impact. Not that he didn't play well, but I think that Cryptik is going to have to make adjustments regardless of what Day is playing into the way that they play that lane.
Fun to watch. Overcomplicated, maybe a little bit. We're tied at 1 apiece. We'll be right back with the game.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the SMITE Minor League.
We're here live from Atlanta. The players are here. The stage is set. Let's get down for esports!
This is where we also talk about the new stuff that we've got coming out for you all.
HRX is literally my favorite time of year. It truly isn't close. This is what I live for.
It's that second place. I can't wait to see what first place is.
It's HRX.
Wow, did y'all see that list? You're going to want to get that bundle. I didn't know it was that much that was in there. That's looking pretty good. High Res Expo is coming up here in November, and I'm speaking specifically to those who are on the fence, my undecideds. You do not want to miss out on this event. Get to come meet some of your favorite public-facing figures, not just us, but other community members, the pros, the coaches. Everybody is going to be there, and you can even bring your friends along if they're not yet at the Church of Smite, because there's a ton of other cool stuff happening at DreamHack. Do not miss it. HighResExpo.com. But help me break down the game that we just watched. Anatoly right here next to me. And Anatoly, Exilium with the Wukong in the long lane. Make it work.
With all their backs against the wall,
Yep.
They still draft the Sun Wukong for DayToRemeber, which is more of a traditional hunter player. When we were watching him in the minor league and then in the, the gauntlet stages where they made that very impressive run with Oxygen Supremacy, he was playing hunters mostly as he's that kind of a player, but making it work with an ability-based warrior going 11-0-6 without a single death.
A really impressive performance from him. Now, I do think there actually is a good deal of credence to what Aggro was saying at the end of the game. Just about anything that can get 2 or 3 early kills over there in that long lane is going to do well. But DayToRemeber, man, trusted in this pick. He played it well when he was ganked and was able to play with that lead perfectly. And really, Cryptik fell behind early and never had much say after that.
It was difficult, but now there's at least a blank slate for Cryptik to make these adjustments. Now they can make the rotations necessary. Maybe focus on the solo lane a little bit more. Possibly look for purple buffs of DayToRemeber. That's the thing, like a Wukong in that long lane needs mana to be relevant for long periods of time without access to the blue buff.
And what's crazy is that we talked about all this setup for Cryptik, the Athena taunt, the Fear No Evil, how you were going to have such a struggle keeping your beads on cooldown against this team. If MandoWarrior is a non-factor, which he most part was in this game, then that all becomes a lot less scary. The whole reason you're worried is that you're taunted into Merlin damage or feared into Merlin damage. Now, when MandoWarrior is kind of getting stomped on by DayToRemeber, it's just not nearly as big of an issue.
There were definitely a lot of rotations to shut down MandoWarrior. Also
yes,
gifting a couple of kills to DayToRemeber, unfortunately. And that's a big problem now when you're feeding a Wukong or feeding any god, honestly, in that aspect of the map. So we'll see the adjustments being made. We talked about how this draft from Exilium in Game 2 needed to be high execution. With Susano, Wukong, Khepri of the likes, Poseidon. It worked out in the early game, and now they get a chance to close out this set in a world where they can't even qualify to Hi-Res Expo with their current 1-6 record.
That's exactly right. So still battling hard. We love to see it here from these two teams as we move into game number 3. Another thing worth noting is that I do think that this Khepri pick was really strong for Exilium as well. There were a couple of times where Bayroneri was getting saved by it, had time to get off that Kraken, and it's such a big difference in Poseidon if you're able to get the Kraken off for damage or not in terms of your relative impact. And so that Khepri could be one that also is worth taking away if you're on the side of Team Cryptik.
Especially against a tier. The Cripple was such a good idea from the Whirlpool side of things.
Yeah.
Even though tier was actually like last picked, it's kind of funny to like kind of gimp yourself in that aspect. But even against Athena, when you're dash taunting in, it's so easy to do the counter damage with a Kraken.
And that's what that Poseidon was meant to do. So really a good draft from Exilium all around into the competition that Cryptik had. As we move into the picks and bans for Game 3, you can tell a lot of supports already being looked at by Team Cryptik. The Khepri and the Geb both being removed. And usually we don't see both teams, I feel like, targeting the same one, but there's going to be a lot of valuable picks that still make it through. Thor, Erlang Shen, Amuz, and Cobb, Oleron, they're all still available.
Yeah, Erlang Shen and Oleron definitely forgotten about this whole day.
I am very surprised. Erlang's still good.
Yeah, between North America and Europe. But with some of the Amaterasu changes, not only Europe, but also North America preferring this god. Late game, a lot of presence with the mobility, the changes to the dash now. You're no longer like rooted in place, so now you can move around and use the dash at the same time. A little bit more early damage on the Heavenly Reflection. A nice touch to the laning phase.
And I feel bad, Exilium. I didn't even have a third picks and bans thing written up on my laptop. I had to get another one out there. They earned it. I had to make another one. Good job, fellas, as we move into this one. Horus and Thoth both picked up on the side of Exilium, further adding credence to Aggro's argument that right now Egyptian are just the best pantheon, maybe the best pantheon ever. Totally. Did you have any thoughts on that one?
I mean, Ra is one of my favorite gods, so I definitely agree with you there.
There we go. We got totally on board. Chernobog also picked up here for Team Cryptik, and this is a pick that they had back in Game 1 for Diesel, so wouldn't be surprised if they give this one back to him. And the Morrigan, there's potential for double Chernobog rotations.
Or maybe just double Amaterasu ultimates.
That sounds good too, yeah.
Stun 1, stun 2, multiple stuns is a nice little idea. Gonna be hard to really pinpoint where this Morrigan is. I want to see some stealth revealing gods. Like I'm looking at Osiris potentially for the tether, maybe some damage over time. Kakolin with his Vent Anger is another good way to pulsate that damage and reveal where this Morrigan is.
I was already thinking, man, it's so hard to get away from one dazzling offensive. I definitely don't think I can get away from two, so that could be a strong pick as Ravana rounds out those first 3 for Exilium. This one makes perfect sense, gives them plenty of backline dive, though I don't know if right now you necessarily see the big artillery that you want to jump on right away with the Ravana. Maybe this prevents it in the future.
No, but it's a good way to really shut down Morrigan as well. Try to kind of anticipate when she's going to come out of her stealth into the stun, overhead kick it, or maybe just dive the Morrigan with the Mystic Rush. But the problem with picking in any good jungler that's good at diving or even escaping is that now Morrigan can go into that idea to also get away.
Well, King Arthur banned out by Team Cryptik, but there's still a really strong solo laner available for Dishonored in the form here of Osiris. He snaps that one up for himself. Meanwhile, Exilium banned away 2 junglers, really trying to take an eye towards JinguBang, and he ends up on the Ratatoskr anyway, one that can be impactful early and often. And with a Morrigan, double rats are on the horizon.
It's going to be a good day to be a Ratatoskr up against the Thoth, trying to channel that final judgment. Good luck getting off all that damage.
That's a great point. I mean, I was just saying I didn't think there was a great artillery person for this Ravana to dive on their side, but to your point, you can do it the other way around, right? This Ravana can jump onto the Thoth, so that might be some trouble as Tyr comes through. It's going to be a Tyr-Osiris matchup in the short lane.
And I love the Osiris pick by Exilium. I was mentioning how you need to reveal the Morrigan judgment, or the tether link is a good way of kind of seeing where the Morrigan is going.
Ah, that's right. It can help you kind of keep track of her when she likes to be sneaky in those team fights. They'll round it out with the Hou Yi. This pick's really risen lately. Big Hou Yi fan, so I will not complain. Those Suns are such a huge tool in the middle of those fights. Game 3, the decider match coming at you.
Right up in here, Exilium versus Team Cryptik. Tom Badger and Ryan Agro Bailey on the mic. Doug LeBlanc on the 1s and 2s as per usual. Copebby on the tier one more time. Did not like the performance last go around. Hopefully he'll be able to dial it up a little bit. MandoWarrior playing the Morrigan. And DayToRemeber on a Thoth. Pretty standard for these days, huh?
Yeah, no doubt. I like this draft from Cryptik quite a bit, though. I mean, they've got great transformation targets for Mando. He's on a character that can play more aggressively. I mean, think about the interactions between Morrigan and Thoth post-level 9, level 10. Mando's going to stealth in. He's going to stun Day. He's going to 2 him. Day's going to dash away. Mando's going to transform into Ratatoskr, and he's going to dunk him. And that's the end of that. Yep. Or he's going to transform into Amaterasu, dash after you, ult, you're dead. It's very difficult for Thoth to deal with.
Yeah, a lot of different options for Mando. Could even turn into the mirror after it's all said and done. Just shoot the ultimate, right?
Sure.
A lot of choices here. MandoWarrior, Team Cryptik. Again, Mando making his rotation there from the solo lane in-game and out-of-game. Playing carry now on the long side. And as far as like lane or position changes has been concerned, Mando has been standing up. I've been impressed with his level of success on Cryptik, albeit, you know, reasonably concerned with the rest of the big picture in mind. I think Mando's done a good job of transitioning here to the carry.
He's definitely had his moments. Last game, probably not one of them.
Sure.
But game 1, he was great. So, I mean, that's the nature of the beast when you're changing roles, changing entire sides of the map, changing what you want to do in team fights very drastically. It's difficult to stay consistent, and it'll come with time. Mando and Cryptik probably not going to end up coming to land. I don't know if they're mathematically eliminated, but probably pretty close. They won't be coming to land, but this is a good stepping stone for them moving into next season.
Cryptik, I think, is your quintessential minor league team. I think the European minor league and its strong points are kind of outliers and you know, just abnormal, if you will. Cryptik is what I'm used to seeing in the minor league, where there are moments of brilliance, and really sometimes the team comes all together, and then there's just some fundamentals that need to be worked on. Cryptik and Exilium is a nice little matchup here for the middle of the pack for sure. I think there's a lot of positives to be drawn. Osath trying to keep himself in the positive, and Kyrmi has to turn around as well. The 3v3 here for Team Cryptik. I got excited with the ricochet. Doing a pretty good job of keeping the opponent at bay.
This 3v3 is very strong. It's very physical heavy.
Yep.
And as a result, I'd imagine a sovereignty is going to be the call for Osath. I would love to see a Void Shield early on Kyrmi. It's a 4 physical composition, and MandoWarrior most of the time is going to be transforming into a physical. So you do not need a whole lot of magical protection. If I'm anyone on Exilium, I'm considering some physical protection. Even DayToRemeber, I think, could probably stand to go some sort of Phys D item.
Not a full breastplate like you were suggesting last. Yeah?
I mean, I think that the Book of Thoth into boots, into breastplate combo is really strong because you don't give up that much power. Book of Thoth converts your mana to power, and Breastplate of Valor gives you a boatload. They ship it in from out of the country because they can't. It's the only place they can get a size that big of that much mana. That's the way it works. You can't get it anywhere else.
So where does it? What is the country of origin?
I don't know. It's out in the ocean.
That is it. Is it the garbage pile in the Pacific? That, you know, the mass of garbage. You familiar?
I don't know, man. It's some conspiracy that they're pulling it off the end of the earth, you know? It's
the end of the earth?
Yeah, it's actually underneath.
Oh, because the earth is...
Go ahead.
Flat.
No. Why would you ever say that?
I thought that's what you were getting at. MandoWarrior goes into the Amaterasu. Flattens DayToRemeber like the earth. And that's first blood for Team Cryptik. Kyrmi's here, and that should be it. Oh, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Oh! Completely fooled, outplayed, outsmarted. MandoWarrior with the biggest brain in the galaxy.
You really think that?
No, not at all. But I love stealth plays.
You know, you are the exact opposite of John Finch, who hates stealth plays so much.
They're so cool. They're so much fun, as long as they're not helping to me.
Yeah, but...
Watching somebody just, like, punch at the air real quick, like, oh, where'd he go? It's so funny to me.
It is funny. to help the players at home, I think that in the situations like that, where you know if Mando goes to the left or to the right, he's dead.
Yeah.
Because the towers will kill him. Or at least I'll be able to see him and track him down before he can get away. All Kyrmi has to do there is stand in the jungle pathing. And if he gets past you, he gets past you. You can toss some auto attacks in that little area.
Yep.
But you just got to keep Mando in front of you in that spot. Mando does the right thing. He sits in the only spot where he feels like he won't get seen. You just kind of hold back, and you hope that Kyrmi gives up the chase, basically. And that's exactly what ends up happening. Kyrmi could have played it better. If he just sits in that little corridor, waits to see where Mando is, he kills him.
I don't know about all that. Outsmarted, outplayed, out in the field. Great job.
All right. That's just like your opinion, man. I don't know. I'm in a mood.
Really?
Sorry about that.
If we had the caster cam, the face I just made at Ryan was so...
It was deserved, yeah. I earned that one.
Yeah, you definitely did. A little bit of a lead here for Cryptik. 1,500, actually, in 6 minutes. Not worth ignoring. The 500-ish for the first blood, of course, but then 1,000 on top of that is really the scary part. Bayro able to jump away and really nothing after the fact. Cryptik walk away from Bayro's ultimate and then kill him for it. That was a curious play. I will ask questions about that till I go to sleep tonight. MandoWarrior trying to run away. Does he have it? No, he gets taken out of stealth and will likely pay for his transgressions. Exilium on the board now, but the Morgan moves away from the teammates, and so only 1 instead of 3.
Maybe just a weird play in general. I mean, JinguBang chases Bayroneri after his dive bomb, so Diesel dashes forward thinking that, okay, his escape is down, we can kill him. JinguBang was happy to just get lane pressure and wanted to back up. And as soon as Bayroneri realized that he was safe, Diesel had already expended the dash. We turn around, we drop the ultimate, we try and stun Diesel. That gets his beads, but then that means I've stepped up to halfway down the lane again, which means I'm going to get dunked on by JinguBang and Sibyl and MandoWarrior and Diesel. Just an awkward fight each way.
I think people commit to objectives going, okay, I'm going to get his beads, but don't realize that that is very good for the next engagement, but now you find yourself with no tools and the enemy is CC immune out of your nonsense fighting you. That was a very curious performance from Bayro, who has had a decent set so far. I think the Scylla game was a little bit rough, but everything else kind of went in the favor.
Well, definitely played well on Poseidon. Pretty far behind in this one. I mean, he just hit level 7. Diesel's been level 8, so that's a pretty big difference as Sibyl puts a ton of damage onto him. It's a lot of poke for a Guardian to provide.
Early game, Cryptik still with a little bit of a lead. Still at that 1,500, to be honest with you. If I'm Cryptik, I want to repeatedly look for these invades and the fights thereafter. The objective Gold Fury, probably a little bit too uphill for me at the moment.
Yo, what's up, fellas?
Cope from the back, hits 2 with the Fearless, and that lines everything up. Osath falls down, the other player winds up leaving, and that's the type of opening for the Gold Fury. And Cryptik will look for that, and Kyrmi's here. I don't think he's really.
Oh, he's gonna try and go for it. Cryptik able to secure, and Kyrmi decides he doesn't want to be here, but
gets a kill.
JinguBang missed the ultimate. He gives him a window.
Oh no.
Now Dishonored here a little bit late. DayToRemeber has ultimate, fires, and forgets.
Copebby still here, heals off, and the call is back away. Bayroneri has shown up, the ultimate not available. That said, can look for a stun. Ricochet off the mark. Cope still here, healing and dealing. Moving forward from Osath, MandoWarrior hung out a little too long. Beads are bad. And Bayroneri finds the kill, half of Team Cryptik's 6. Exilium sits at 3.
Remember when you were saying earlier that minor league teams have flashes of brilliance and then big misses?
Yeah.
Everything after that Gold Fury was a big miss for me.
Yeah. The Copebby push from behind.
Very nice.
Flash of brilliance.
Yeah, really good.
The Gold Fury.
Solid.
Nice call. That's standard Smite. The fight after the fact.
Bad.
Yeah.
We just expended a ton of resources into doing this Gold Fury. We know Exilium's coming back full HP. Yes, Kyrmi's already dead. Dishonored's in a bad spot. But why are we melee stancing the oracles as a hunter? I mean, we don't need to be doing that.
The secondary follow-up there, so not only was that initiation poor for Exilium because of lack of resources available to them, but also because they went one by one. I mean, the enemy is grouped up as 4, and it seems like a necessary situation to save your teammate. But Fury's down, the jungle's down. The only thing that's threatened is the actual towers. Let your teammate die. Unlike real life, they respawn in 10 seconds. It's really not that big of a deal.
Wait, you don't respawn?
Depends on the weekend.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. That's good to hear, at the very least. I mean, Cryptik still has a pretty decent lead at this point. It's not a huge one by any stretch, but they certainly have the momentum in their favor. XP and gold both in their favor as well. Not by a large margin, but Sibyl has really been a big catalyst for Cryptik in this game. 1-0 and 4 for him on this Amaterasu that they picked very early in the draft. Huge. Same level as the enemy mid laner, same level as his own mid laner. Almost one of those characters that when you're not ahead of her, feels pretty impossible to kill because she deals a lot of damage and she's so mobile and causes you so many problems.
Getting circle strafed by Amaterasu is, I don't know if a broadcast-friendly word. It's so obnoxious. She sits there a little bit faster than you, and whatever damage you deal, she mirrors back at you. Dishonored doing his best Copebby impression, and Cope catches him over the wall. So does the entire team. Diesel with the last hit off of the assist from the entire first line. And Cryptik will look for the Pyromancer.
Kyrmi's here. He decided he wanted to die for the last objective. We'll see if he does it here. Cryptik don't end up losing that one as Sibyl gets stunned. Mando wants to keep it going.
Bayroneri.
I'm ultimate his own.
Bayroneri.
He went left.
I actually really like that play. Bayroneri has been very quick to drop the Suns, and there he was waiting to see if Cryptik continued to walk towards the mid lane. At that point, he would drop the ultimate and cut off the pathing. That lack of action was actually one of the better moves that our Hoyi player has done all game.
Ooh, Sibyl blinks in, double silence. Top of, looks like stealing away that red buff as
Bayroneri has it
now has to drop the Suns.
And see, that's going to cut the whole team fight in half. Day picks up a kill on the left side. Ultimate whiffs, Cope's here. No reposition tools available, doesn't need to, just fearless power cleave at Osath, and Sibyl provides the mirror mash, and down goes the support. Team Cryptik, another good look, 2,500 in the pocket.
It's the Ama show, dude. I mean, Sibyl's making it work. MandoWarrior transforming into Sibyl's making it work. All this talk right now, I think, of Ama being the next top pick, top ban at a competitive level because she already brought a lot to the table and now is much less vulnerable without the ease of blocking that dash away. No longer roots herself for that little period of time. That's a huge deal. And it's made teams ban her a lot. First pick her a decent amount.
Is that your? And I don't want to put words in your mouth or whatnot. Is that your big prediction? Is that Amaterasu is going to be the next big push?
Probably, yeah. She does so much at a competitive level. I mean, she adds power, she adds movement speed, she's really, really safe in these team fights. She can invade you really well at level 1. That's what a lot of supports need to be able to do these days.
She feels low in the damage department. And I know she winds up high on the player
Not for carries, man. Not for that ultimate. Remember, that ultimate got buffed not that long ago to do more damage, and it does a ton. It is because it's not just that base damage, right? It seems like 275, 275, 275, but you take 20% more from the second hit and then 40% more from the third hit. So you'll take a solid 700 plus from that ultimate. It is nuts.
That's pretty wild. That certainly is.
Impossible to miss, by the way.
Yeah, it's also the size of this entire exit ramp, right? Both players use CC immunity. Nice play from Osath to get out of there. And Bayroneri under the Suns. Copebby doesn't mind walking through him. Now he's low, and Dishonored can probably just smack him home. But a turnaround Fearless is good, and there's a heal. Frenzy is popped, and saved by the jungler.
No, dude.
Cope's still wiggling.
No, not that way.
Cut down. DayToRemeber provides the shot from a distance, and is able to go ahead and find it. Kyrmi gets one. Does he die for it? The answer is yes.
Mando takes a lot of damage. Final Judgment finally hits a home. Might be the first time Day's connected with it, but certainly makes it work for him. Now a big lead for Day because Mando has been rotating to a ton of these fights, been a part of just about every one of them. DayToRemeber has been just pushing his little heart out. I mean, going to the lane, killing all the creeps, backing up, playing the PvE game. For Thoth, that oftentimes is the right call. My dude's level 16 now and is able to half health most of these carries with just his 3-1 combo.
Thoth is another character that just wants a ton of power. I think there is some conversation about CDR because of the dash, but similar thought process to what we were talking about with Scylla, where you just let me hit really hard. That's my game plan for Thoth. You know, there's no conversation about, well, what's the utility aspect of Spirit Ball? Nah, man. I want Hieroglyphic Assault to actually assault somebody. I want you to wind up in bed after I do the damage to you. That's the thought process here from Thoth. Thoth process.
Because I'm sleepy, or?
No, like when you are harmed, you have to be in a hospital bed, like laid down because you are harmed.
Well, you said just like end up in bed, and I just like envisioned my bed immediately. And I thought, first thing I thought was, that sounds real nice. Second thing I thought was, why would Thoth put me?
Well, because yeah, you're tired.
Okay, so it was that I'm sleepy.
Because you've fought and you've lost.
Ah.
You are weary is the word.
I feel like I'd be tired even if I won. Fighting just seems exhausting.
But not for a god.
Ah, makes sense.
Blink to follow the ultimate. Dishonored likely to get on out of here. An ultimate to follow that. I don't like this level of investment into a full passive Osiris, but Cryptik will ultimately fall back. Copebby's ultimate, as much as we kind of laughed at him, a little bit more expendable than JinguBang's. That's a big deal. With that on cooldown, Exilium can fight a little bit more willy-nilly. Down come the Suns thanks to Bayroneri cutting out the exit to the south side, and players will instead exit out the east. Team Exilium grouped up as 4, being chased up by Cryptik. Cope is here, looking for the play, trying to find the mage, and kept at a distance. Bayroneri will be grabbed, Fearless in the power cleave. Here's help from Sibyl. No control, and Exilium turned the fight around again.
Kyrmi in a bad spot now. Another great Fearless from Cope. Still needs a little more damage. Lawbringer up and away, not going for it, and Dishonored is going to chase him down.
Osiris, one of the better characters at dealing with the tier. Tier has one of the best passives in the game, to be honest with you. Cannot be CC'd for over a minute, or over a second, excuse me. Imagine being CC'd for a minute.
I feel like that's happened to me. In the course of one game, being CC'd for 60 seconds, I guarantee that's happened to me.
Just like Fear No Eviled, into an Abduct,
yep,
into a Fearless,
yep,
into a Thor stun.
Yep.
into an abduct.
Did you see that clip on Reddit of someone trying to get a Cabrakan ult off or something like that? And they
Yes!
got knocked up, knocked up, knocked up, knocked up. That was so funny, man. I thought that was hilarious.
The title was just like, for God's sakes, or like something
Well,
just like,
help me.
yeah. Always with the walrus hands. Primal Fury down to 50%. Exilium, the team behind. Get it stolen out of their hands, and it's all because of MandoWarrior. 4,000 gold in the lead as Cryptik push up, and I say this an awful lot, Ryan. When the teams are separated by 2,000-3,000, that is the most important gold Fury.
That's huge. I mean, Sibyl gets in there, distracts them. Mando, I think, was the one to seal it away. Now Sibyl, despite the buff, still gets his dash body blocked. But Osath gonna fall because of it. Look at a great Fearless again from Cope, who's been doing it with this tier. Kyrmi now in trouble. Cope with the double kill.
Now onto the tower. They're not done yet. JinguBang dashes as Day finds a big dash of his own. Not tier 1, but the tier 2 dive. And Diesel puts the old-fashioned deicide up for his team. 4-2-10 for the mid lane Chernobog. It's a 5-3-5-2 gold lead, wave to wave.
It's really these frontliners for Cryptik who have played so well. Sibyl and Cope have had great game 3s. Mando had the hot start, fell off a little bit, but is able to really get a good transformation target courtesy of Sibyl. And that team fight was just an overinvestment from Exilium into a very tanky level 15 Ama. Cope finds a sick Fearless yet again. He's been doing it. Even in game 2, he had a couple really good ones, but game 3 in particular, he's been riding hot.
This tier, one of my favorite characters. That said, you need a lead on tier. Tier at parity feels like you're playing from behind, it looks like. Watching Cope in game number 2, right? It just wasn't able to do what you wanted tier to do, and now it looks silly. It seems like there's no in-between for a tier player. Either you're not doing enough, or you're doing it all.
I feel like a lot of gods are like that, and almost all of them are warriors.
True.
That's the class.
True.
You know, that's why you put them in the solo lane. They are the jack of all trades, the master of few, and tier is the master of displacement a lot of the time, but that means he has to be next to you. He's got no range damage whatsoever.
Yeah.
And if he's not ahead, then you just beat him up. You shove him away and you stuff him in the locker and you move on. It's difficult to do that when you don't have a lead.
Exilium right now do not have a lead. Tier does, and so does the rest of his team. Team Cryptik, Fire Giant in hand, will push up on the left-hand side. Two players still in the jungle. The Osiris, newly purchased Clean Hunter's Garb, will make their way over to the tier 2 tower. Worth defending?
I was just thinking that. I mean, you're down by 9K right now. The question is always, would I rather take this fight down 9K against the Fire Giant underneath the tier 2, or take the fight in 6 minutes when I've had time to farm, but Cryptik has a new Fire Giant and we're underneath Phoenix and they're up 13.5K. I don't think there's a big difference between the 10K and the 13K. I think I would wait here if I were Exilium.
That seems to be their game plan. And if you are going to give up the tier 2 tower, I'd much rather see it given up like this. The false, the like facade of a fight, and then the moment it becomes even remotely dangerous, everybody falls back. Because I am very much a proponent of
talking a big game. Oh. I thought, because that's what Exilium were doing. They were talking a big game on this left-hand side.
Is there something you're trying to say, right?
That I value you as a friend and a coworker.
Right. Is that it?
Yep.
Sure?
Yeah.
Osath dies down. Diesel looking good.
I did not mean to bring out Long Island Tom. I'm very sorry.
DayToRemeber walking away. You all right there, buddy? Tier 3 tower, otherwise known as the Phoenix, in trouble. But Kyrmi all the way in Montauk. Team Cryptik grabbing this game by the horns and is able to find Kyrmi around the bend. Sibyl shows up front. JinguBang down back. Copebby puts another one down. And Team Cryptik needs some minions. They're a little ahead of themselves at the moment.
I don't think they do. I mean, they've got some pretty healthy tanks that can walk in and do it for them.
Just walking in like it's a bagel boss, huh?
Yep. Is that a chain, by the way?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Team Cryptik grab the chains and bring the flames. 22-9, and they take the set just like that. MandoWarrior, Sibyl, Diesel, and JinguBang, and of course Copebby bring it home.
Look, this Cryptik team, like I said, coming in, they're the favorites coming into this. I mean, they're both middle-of-the-pack teams, but Cryptik has clearly shown that they're a slightly better squad. Game 2 got away from them. I think the Wukong ADC threw MandoWarrior for a bit of a loop. The whole team didn't play particularly well around it. JinguBang played much better in Game 3 than he did in Game 2, clearly struggled on that Han Batz. But for me, this game was Cope and Sibyl, man. They played really, really well.
Absolutely agree. Team Cryptik plays fantastic. Not to take anything away from them. If I do want to point out something on Exilium's side, it's Osath. Osath on an aggressive support, not the same idea as some of the other choices that he's played, not just today, but historically. Osath is a great teammate defender. Give him Geb, give him Khepri. Not my favorite look here on the Horus.
Yeah, they fell a little bit behind in the 3v3. That makes it difficult for you to make an impact on aggressive support.
Sure.
But I agree. I mean, the Khepri play was so good from him.
Beautiful.
That should definitely be a priority pick for them moving forward.
Fun to watch. Cryptik take it in 3. We'll be back after this.